Hello, welcome to Epic FM, the UK's joint #1 War Machine Hordes podcast, because there's loads out there at the moment and we love them all. This week we have a really special guest, but before we get into that, I've just got two important announcements. First, please help support the show by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. At the top on the banner, you can see everywhere we're at. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're now on iTunes, on Spotify, we're everywhere, so please like and support, that means a lot to us. Second of all, we're going to give away some stuff. So last week we discussed Legion and we gave our thoughts on where the faction's at. We did a show like we're going to do today, but about Legion. If you watched it, then thanks for watching. If you didn't, go back and check it out. So we're going to give away a few prizes. I've got Legion tokens. We've got Serin. Serin's good. Brett will write you a list. We've got an Isra Val. She's good. She shoots stuff. So keep watching the show. Near the end, I'm going to let you know you can win those prizes. It's super easy. Just stick with us and watch the show. And the winner will be drawn next week, and we won't forget. And Brett's going to give away a Stormwall next cast, which is amazing. That's such a commitment to the show. So first, let me introduce a few people. We have a man who finds playing the game so easy, he plays with D-Freeze and gives his opponents advice mid-game. Brett the Hitman Wilkie. How are we doing, Brett? You well?
I'm well, thank you, this evening. Enjoying the bank holiday. It's good to see everyone.
Oh, your green screen's gone, Brett. I'm going to have to re-green screen you. How's that even happened? Second, we have a man so confident he can assassinate his opponent turn 2, and he lets his opponents play on his clock. Hang on, sorry Gav, that was a total troll. We have a man so confident he can assassinate his opponent on turn 2. He lets his opponents play on his clock, and he don't even put models in zones. Even when he's got like people next to him looking at the zone, looking at him, looking at his models. Man don't need to. It's Gav Oswald Beckett. How are we doing, Gav?
Hello there. Hi there. Yeah. I'm not very good at putting models in zones.
No, hey, it's not your strong.
It's overrated, Gav. Don't worry.
It is overrated. Yeah, just play for assassination. That's it.
But assassinating people is, so you don't need to. So today we're going to be discussing Cygnar, exploring how enjoyable and varied the faction is right now. And to help us do that, we're joined by a man so dedicated to Cygnar, his Tinder profile says forfeit movement for some action. It's Stu Cargill. How are we doing, Stu?
Hey, you alright, guys? Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, mate. How long have you been playing Cygnar?
I have been playing Cygnar since probably not long after Battle Engines got introduced to the game. So you're probably talking good 9 years ago now.
Pretty solid.
But yeah, so been through all the ups and downs of Cygnar. So
the highs and the lows.
All the highs and the lows. The highs of Kane 2 blending everyone to Haley 2 being there for the 20th time in Mark 2.
Tough times.
Far too many myths. I still loved every moment of that. Every little second.
Yeah. Bless you. Welcome to the show, mate. I think you got a bottle of JD that you're aggressively consuming.
Way too much.
Way too much JD.
Cheers
right,
to you
great.
viewers.
There's someone trolling you in the chat already. Oh, and here comes Liam Jordan, right on cue. You guys can't see the chat at the moment, so I'll keep Liam to myself for a while. All right, let's get on with the show. So first of all, we're just going to generally introduce the faction, Cygnar, talk about how popular they are, any new models or anything that have caught people's eyes, and then the rest of the guys, other than me, are going to break it down and talk about casters, battle groups, units, solos, theme options, and then just a general how fun's the faction. And they're going to score it based on an absolutely insane system that Brett came up with, none of which we understand. Monkey in 2 barrels is a new one that he's come up with to do. So yeah, we're going to do that. Brett, do you want to just run through your scoring system at the beginning, just so we can...
Scoring system, I think we just need to make sure that this is trademarked, actually, because Dan Jones and Chaos Spawn Gaming are trying to steal it at the moment.
Right.
No way.
So we're just the enemy.
Yeah, we just need to be very careful that this is now. It's got a bit of intellectual property to it, I'm afraid.
There's nothing intellectual about it, though.
At the top of our scale, we've got on Cloud 9. And so this gives outstanding options, something for everybody and everything. Next down, we've got in 7th Heaven, so great pieces, allows for competitive builds with varied play styles. Then we've got like a dog with 2 tails, so just all about the fun. Perfect for club games and tall tales that you'll be able to tell over a beer if you're playing at conventions or tournaments, but can still be effective. Then we've got like a pig in muck, so admittedly unlikely to win a convention, but you'll have an absolute blast pushing those models around. And then down at the bottom, we've just got yikes. I might be flogging a dead horse, but it's my horse and I'm determined to give it a go. So it's a pretty comprehensive scoring system. I have to say, while we've got Stu on the show, it was Stu that inspired my like a pig in muck scoring system.
Why am I even surprised that was because of me? Is that Striker 3 joke going on?
Striker 3. Look, you even know before I even mention it.
The man,
like
the myth,
a
the
pig in
legends.
muck. He'd turn up religiously at a tournament. Oh, what are you playing, Stuart? Oh, I've got this Striker 3 list. I'm like, right, yeah. 2 units of cav, Stu? Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I can't remember how many times I've played into you with that, Stuart, but it's at least a couple. And I'm sure most of those games have involved you
Sticking a drink
shot from like 13 inches away. And you trying to explain how it... Yeah, but it's good in other matchups.
Just painstakingly trying to convince myself.
Yeah, like a pig in muck just captures exactly what Stu Cargill is when he plays that Striker 3 list. Like, no one else understands what the hell is going on, but Stu has got the biggest smile on his face when he's playing on that list imaginable. That's what it's all about.
That's all we want to see. We just want to see that happiness and joy. Stu, you're in the WTC team this year, right? For England?
Yes, I'm in the England Bulldogs team.
Oh, nice.
Yes, my first WTC event as well, so extremely excited to head up to Belgium and do what I can.
Are you going to play? Is that the list that you're playing that Brett was just on about? Is that you?
No? Maybe. I don't want to give out too many secrets of the team here.
All right, yeah, no, sorry. Brett, did I just interrupt you going through the scale? Sorry, you didn't mention.
No,
5 monkeys in a
I can go through it again though, in case any of the listeners missed it.
No, I'm all right. Hi to everyone in the chat. Thanks to people that have jumped in the chat and chatting to us. Yeah, I think people might want a hurricane instead of a storm wall, Brett, for next week, but that's fine. We'll work it out.
I'm sure we will.
All right, great. So let's just take the first thing then. We were just gonna general introduction of the faction, how popular they are at the moment, new models that have come out, anything's changed. So for me, that's been away from the game for like 3-4 years. Anything I need to see, or anything that I wouldn't have seen that might have caught people's eye. Stu, do you want to start us off, mate? As soon as you're a guest, and that's how we treat people on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Darius is now better. Nothing else matters. No, but
totally like a pig in muck.
Are they a fun faction to play, Stu? Are they a lot of fun at the moment?
You know what, they absolutely are. I'm just more stubborn to stick with them. But you know what, Cygnar have just got like so many cool options that, like, even just from like a lore perspective, that it just makes you want to just keep playing. I mean, I'm all about the lightning. I'm all about the gunfire. It's so coming from like 40k, it was kind of a really, really refreshing change, and it wasn't like too dissimilar to what you used to do in 40k. So like that type of play style they gave was just really, really appealing, and it hasn't really changed so much like over the years, to be honest. Yeah, like power levels come and go and whatnot, but like overall, like they still effectively kind of play the same. Like nothing much has changed, and it's just quite nice, I found.
Wicked. Gav, Brett, you kind of echo those thoughts. Pretty consistent.
Yeah, definitely. I like what you're saying about coming across from 40k to Cygnar. I think that's a really valid point. The sort of the faction that kind of attracts people the most, I think, from that perspective, as well as their whole steampunk ethos, that they really sort of embodied that as well. The best out of probably all the factions. All the goggles, all the lightning everywhere, the weird cranks and sort of levers and stuff, especially like the battle engine looks amazing. I love that model. It's awesome. So yeah, that sort of stuff. So yeah, definitely I think you've caught the faction really well there.
Brett, what's the new model?
It is a really nice aesthetic, isn't it? Like some of the certainly the storm chamber jacks have got a really nice chassis and look to them. But then even down to like the gun majors with the little
tricorns.
Thank you, Gav. I knew you'd know. But even just down to the hats and stuff, they've got a really cool aesthetic to them. You can definitely see why there's a strong appeal there.
And Brett, what's the new model that I saw on the table the other day and was like, what is that enormous thing? Is it new Nemo? In terms of like new models that have kind of come out.
Nemo 4.
Nemo 4, yeah. Battle Engine Nemo.
He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah,
Nemo's soul captured inside this big
Easter
ball.
egg.
Yes, ball. bouncy ball we'll go with.
So he's a journeyman warcaster, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than some warcasters. That's what he is.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Yeah, it seemed quite good.
He's pretty cool.
I didn't think he got to do anything though, because I think I just assassinated him onto it. It was a classic Lilith game of like, oh, shoot the caster. And I was like, it would have been good to actually know what a load of that list did.
What a guy.
That sounds like a classic playstyle, though, doesn't it? All right, I've not played against this faction list caster models before. I guess I'll just kill your turn too.
Yeah.
That way I don't need to learn what any of it does.
Escape. Brett, someone's asking, Andy OFD's asking, just an example of pigging muck. People obviously want to really get their head around this. Darius double Stormwall.
Absolutely
Double
okay.
Stormwall, pig and muck.
That's the pigging. That's straight in there. Stu, was that the list?
Yeah, it basically was the list I ran for quite some time, actually.
Nice. Lovely.
So basically, no one in their sane mind would run that list.
Except this
Every now
WTC
and
player.
Every now and then, you see some
Weird.
creative genius. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Some creative genius, put it on the table,
And have the time of
get
life.
repeatedly smashed with it, but still have a great time playing it.
Absolutely. I think that was kind of like a big part. That was just like I just want like it was kind of like a post lockdown, so everyone started to get games on the tables again. So I thought, what's a really fun list? Like, don't have to think too hard about. Let's just put 2 Stormwalls on the table,
And you won't clock. There's no chance of clocking.
And there was no chance of clocking whatsoever. It was really, really good fun, to be fair. But
Nice.
yeah, it was a really good list to try and have fun with.
How competitive was it?
I kind of had about like roughly 50-50 win ratio with it. Like, admittedly, it wasn't.
You played 2 games.
There was. I think overall, I think I had 11 or 12 games with it. To be fair, it was all right, but yeah, some matchups just ruffle stomped me. It was so bad. It was so bad.
I mean, a 50-50 win ratio, that could be a dog with 2 tails.
Could very well be.
Look, God84 says Hurricane Stormwall is better, so maybe that's not even pigging muck. Maybe that's the next level. It's no longer fun. No?
Not when you're running 5 Stormsmiths in the list. It isn't.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, you need them storm pods.
The only way to kill infantry on that list.
All right, should we get into the meat of the show? Take it with casters.
Mm-hmm.
Who shall start? Brett, do you want to kick things off, mate, with casters? You've had a see how
I
much
think Gav
trolling you
goes
can do
first
amongst
and
each other.
I can go first. It's not a problem.
Yeah, well, if we're just doing a similar order to last week,
Yeah, sure.
the outsider's view, the insider's view, and then the player's view.
That sounds reasonable.
All right, Brett, you just take over hosting. Don't worry about me.
Okay, no worries.
He's gone.
Right, okay. Go. No, it's a good idea. Go for it, Gav.
Yeah, so just like an overview of some of the casters I like and what I think that as a general as the casters are rated at, right? Is that what we're going for? Yeah. So I mean, I've gone for on Cloud 9 for casters. I think that may be a bit of a hang up again, maybe for Mark II, but like just looking through the casters, there's just so much variety. And some really cool characters as well, like you were saying as well there, Stu. There's some amazing characters in this list. So I even put it on with the alternative history caster as well. So you got like Vinter the Undefeated. I mean, that's pretty cool too.
Pretty
so
cool.
I quite like
Gav,
it as well.
the history podcast.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong show. What are you on about?
Alternate history ones.
Yeah, alternate history as well. So yeah, so looking through them.
What's the
obviously
alternate history? No, sorry, I don't know what that is.
It's like a different timeline. Like if what happened,
Like the
Vincent,
multiverse
for example.
Oh, it's some
Private
multiverse
Earth.
chat.
Yeah, if
Like,
basically
what if
if Vinter hadn't basically been deposed by Leto,
Gav, I just
yeah,
remembered. I
sure.
just rememred I never read any of the lore.
Yeah,
So I remember you-
yeah.
I never
So
mind.
So
Sounds
Paul,
cool.
if you look through the Legion casters, you'll see that Aeris is down as a Legion caster. You know, the Retribution, like Mage Hunter
Yeah, I
lady?
used to hate her. Shoot all your focus off.
Yeah.
Shoot.
You've got her as a caster now.
Have I?
At some events, yeah.
That's like a Chris Kamara moment. Have the Jeff. Well, she's a caster.
Jeff.
She's a Legion
I'm going to lose
caster.
Paul now while he checks his war room.
You have to change the settings, filters to include
Oh, I'm not
alternate
capable
history
of doing that. I'll just
No,
take your
okay,
word for it.
fine.
That's too much. Immediately, that's too much fat for me, right?
Immediately out.
Yeah.
So you- so
I
9
love,
Gav.
I love, I love all the different Nemos. I think they're fantastic. And the Haleys, as bereft as I am to say, the Haleys are amazing. I'm going through a bit of a what beats Karchev moment at the moment.
Oh,
I'm literally
yes.
going through all the factions trying to find the answers to Karchev. And like doing this with you guys on the chats. Like, I really think Cygnar have got a good chance. Can't wait to hear your opinion on this, Stu. Like, they've got so much disruption and so many jack control options that I think that they may be able to just use the control game against them. Victoria Haley won. The Haley won. She, like, I know that she got really, really heavily nerfed. She come into Mark 3. Is that right, Stu?
Yeah. There were a few changes,
but she's been changed back. She looks really cool.
Like,
really cool. Like scramble, target warjack suffers disruption for 1 round, and it's just cost 2. I mean, that's awesome. And she can spam that out. It's not an upkeep, so you can just disrupt multiple jacks. Gun mages, they're better. So she's quite good. She used to be amazing with them, didn't she? So, like saying about Darius, he looks really cool now.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks really cool. That's the kind of caster I'd probably play if I played Cygnar. And then obviously the Canes as well. It's so many characterful models. So I don't know. I just think as a selection, they've got some excellent choices. Like, the only thing there's a negative I would put on them is that they have so many cool abilities and spells that they want to cast. Like, I can imagine that all the time they play camping nothing.
Yeah.
So I imagine that they're really prone to assassination as a caster goes, because they've just got so much that they want to do. So I've gone for a rating on Cloud9 for me, which is our highest rating, because I just think that the caster's stable is amazing, really characterful, full of some amazing options. And Striker 1, you don't need to say anything else apart from him. It's just
is he the lad that blows himself up, 3 dice damage?
No, that's Striker 2. I think it's even better as well. But yeah, Striker 1, if you just look at him, he's just... I mean, he was sort of called Captain Bland, wasn't he, really? In Mark 2? But he's so cool. He's got so many different things that you can try and do. So yeah, I'm gushing over Cygnar Warcasters.
Like, calm down, lads. Come on.
I really like them.
Calm down.
Striker 1's just been ever present as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Literally nothing has changed throughout Mark 2, throughout Mark 3, and he was the battle box caster, right, in Mark 2. Yeah, so he was the blandest of bland, and yet he's still there.
Still relevant caster.
Still relevant. Like, it's just, I think that's the sign of just a really, really well-designed caster, that everything is changing around them, but that caster still has a relevant place and role to play in the
But it's just the ability that you can just do lots of different things, and that's the same with, I think, a lot of the casters. They're kind of jack of all trades and then specialise in... some of them, like Sloan, obviously, she specialises in some things, but a lot of them have tools for every situation. So I really like that. It's a really cool faction. So yeah, even
nice.
Sturgis is probably playable now.
Yeah.
Nice. So Gav's giving it a 9. Brett, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Well, I went with 7th Heaven. So I've gone a bit lower than Gav.
You haven't been beaten by him as many times as me, that's why.
And I think probably I've gone there. So I think last week we put Legion on Cloud9 with their casters, but part of that conversation was just about the depth that they have on their bench. And so for Legion, pretty much every single caster that they've got on their roster is playable. Whereas I don't quite think Cygnar are up to that level from my perspective. I look through there, and there's definitely a good chunk of them that are super playable, look like loads of fun, and then there's some others that I've not got a lot of interest in, even opening the card, let alone reading it or trying to write a list for it.
Is that Blaze? You're talking about Blaze there?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Sturgis, for me, they just don't do a lot for me. If I was to pick out sort of 2 highlights, and again, I'm not saying these are the super competitive casters, but the 2 highlights for me would be Striker 2 that we've just touched upon. Again, another caster that's remained relevant throughout Mark 2 into Mark 3. Lots of really nice options, and just from the fun angle, the risk of rolling that 3 dice overload.
Oh, it's glorious.
Glorious. And I've played him quite a bit, and once in a tournament game did it get me. Yeah, so I rolled the 3 dice, and it was because you roll the damage, the second roll, right? So like my first roll, I was like, I got something like 14 or something like that. Like 14. I was like, oh man, this turn is going to be the dream. I'm like plus 14 to my strength, yes please. And then rolled the next set of dice, and that was okay. Good game, thanks. So like he's up there in terms of just getting on the board and having an absolute blast with. And then the other one for me is actually Cray. So I think just in terms of a like really unique play style, in terms of what he offers to some of the Cygnar battle group that maybe you see less of otherwise. Those little innate abilities he's got on his card with all the jacks become cavalry, they get the reposition. For the reposition 5 on Cray's jacks means that some of them reposition further than they move.
So you played Cray Mark too, Brett?
I did.
Yeah, you played that when I first started. I remember you messing around with Cray.
Yeah. It's the first Cygnar caster I played when I picked up the faction, and I think if anything he's got, whether he's got better I'm not sure, but he's got cooler into Mark 3 and following the updates, and his spell list and what he does. They changed his feet around quite a bit, but yeah, I think he just looks it looks and is a blast to play. I think he's like the perfect, probably like club night caster. If you're just going down and rolling some dice and playing games, semi-competitive games, but with fun being the primary aim of the game. So
why did you move so quickly to Haley 1 and 2, Brett? Then when we used to play, because I think I played Cray. He was like, I played Cray. Anyway, so next week.
You used to love drinking tears, that's why.
No, you did, to be fair. I remember we did like a mini club tournament league thing.
And I played Cray throughout that. Yeah, we had a little development league thing, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it was cool.
So you've given it seventh heaven.
Seventh heaven for me.
So I'm respecting the score, 7th heaven. Stuart, you've got a fan in the chat. Stuart Cargill, sexy war machine is back.
God, who the hell could that possibly be?
Could be
I'm taking my top off as well.
King of our Hull 1982.
Your girlfriend watching in the other room, Stu, just texting in messages to the...
Unfortunately, no, she's just having a drink, just let me just play nerdy games. I'm just like, oh no, it's fine, dear, just have a drink, it's fine, honestly.
What was she like? You sure you don't want me to come on the show? You sure? No, it's fine. Stu, what do you reckon then, mate? Over to you for the final voice of the caster thought.
So yeah, I was kind of along the same lines as Brett with mine. I went 7th heaven, but to be fair, there is an argument, as Gavin said, to put them in Cloud 9. Like I said, there are like so many like variation in the casters. Like you've got such really, really good casters, which are so enjoyable. So you can get like so much interaction out of those casters. Maybe not so much for your opponents, but hey, to a surprise. But I think with like such like the huge gap in like the enjoyment of playing with some of those higher tier casters compared to low ones, it kind of like drags them down a little bit in that sense. Not to say that they're bad casters, but it kind of like brings like an overall rating down in my eyes. So I think 7th heaven is probably a fair assessment. I think Cygnar's strengths kind of lie in their variation. And you kind of see, like I said, you see that a lot in the casters, like Brett said. I think some of my favorite casters, which employ you've got your Haley 2s, Haley 3s now starting to become like a big favorite of mine. Cray's also just an absolutely fantastic caster in general, and it's just a ton of fun. And then you've got like the ones which, like Brett said, like you've got your Sturgis, your Jakes that you don't really see too much. I personally haven't played them, so I couldn't really comment too much on them, what they are, but there's like some things which just don't like drag you to them, if you get what I mean. So you kind of like don't really see yourself playing if there's nothing like to pull you towards wanting to make a list with some casters, where it's just doesn't feel exciting, if you get what I mean. But I think I pretty much be echoing what Brett said on that one, really, to be fair, just kind of like just adding a little bit of that, really. But I think 7th heaven is quite a fair assessment on the Cygnar casters.
I think from my experience, what you see with Cygnar, so I mean, just echo everything Stuart said there. But their casters can be quite polarizing.
Yeah.
you'll get some people that just love playing Nemo 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Nemo 2 is always going to be in their pair, and it's the same. I've seen people rave about Sturgis and Blaze, but then there's other people that they don't see it, they don't get it. It's just not their thing, and so the casters can be quite polarizing.
Yeah.
And you end up Stuart, you were saying you played Cygnar for 8 years, but you in that time you've never played. And you listed a couple of the casters.
Exactly.
You'd think at some point over that 8 years, you'd have worked your way through at least putting them all on the table once or twice.
Exactly. Like you always kind of think, what could I possibly do to want to make this caster in my pairing? Just for one event, could I just play just a couple of games of this? But then I think it's because you kind of I kind of get into a habit of what I know what I like. So it's okay, I'll play this Kane 2 list. I love everything about this Kane 2 list, and now I want to play this list with another caster, and it just doesn't seem was something I'd like to play. I think it's kind of a play style thing what the casters offer, and it sometimes just might not sit well with you. That's all. And you might make one, but then you think I just don't play it. So I think it's a bit of laziness on my part, considering how long I've been playing them for. To be fair, but I think it really does come down to what you want from a caster, I think.
What are your two main picks, Stuart? Just out of interest, what are the two sort of lists?
Currently, my jam is Haley 3. Haley 3 with the buffs, with the dynamic update. I think we'll touch upon that later. Kind of buffed Storm Division a huge amount. So Haley 3 and Storm Division's kind of been my thing for a little while. Recently, just before Welsh, I started to toy again with Siege 1. Siege 1's just kind of been one of those little fallback casters I've always started. He was he was the first caster I bought after I got the battle box all them years ago, and he's always just kind of been there. And it's like what we were saying about Striker 1, where he's always stayed relevant. He's just kind of been the same all the way through. And Siege hasn't really changed too much either, to be fair. So he's always kind of been that caster who's always going to be there, who's not really going to change a huge amounts in regards to what the meta's going to throw at us. So I think they're currently what I'm running my two favourite ones anyway, because I just love casters that can just do so much work, and those two just exemplify that with what they do.
Wicked. Sounds good. So we've got a 7th Heaven, a 7th Heaven, and a 9 monkeys in a barrel, which is quite good. That's the casters ticked off. Battle group. Let's get into battle group. Start with you, Gav. What are you coming at?
Yeah, sure. So looking through the battle group, what's really striking about Cygnar Jacks is they look amazing. So I love the aesthetic of them.
It's wild that your wallpaper is a Jack. That's really strange as well.
Is it?
It's behind you, yeah. Your kitchen wallpaper.
Behind me,
yeah, that's how passionate you are about Cygnar Jacks. You've got a great looking Cygnar Jack.
Oh, nice. Oh, thanks.
FYI.
Where's Makeda gone? Oh,
she's out of action this week.
What?
She brought us technical problems last week.
She's been deposed by
Cygnar
Vinter.
now, boy.
She's been deposed by Vinter. There you go. You'll understand that, won't you, Paul? That reference. Yeah.
What was it? What was the joke?
She's been deposed by Vinter. No.
I'll come back to you on that one.
I don't even know who the two people are you're talking about.
Don't worry about it. So the Jacks look super cool. The only thing I've noticed is that they all seem really, really squishy. They're just not very survivable at all. And there's no real Jacks that have got a massive power and strength. So I kind of looked through and thought, well, some of them maybe some massive heavy hitters. So obviously you've got your Stonewalls. And your Hurricane that are a bit harder hitting. So I looked at the Hammersmith. I thought, he's got big, massive hammers. Power strength 17.
It's a sad time.
Yeah, it's a sad time. I looked at him. I thought he's probably going to be a couple of 18s, maybe 19s. No, okay. They've all got these kind of nice little crit abilities, maybe these tremors, all this kind of stuff. So they've got some nice little juicy additional abilities they've got on some of the melee attacks. But yeah, a lot of them is about the range, isn't it? So all about the guns. So there's some really cool guns. Honorary mentions for me, the Lancer at 8 points looks amazing. Only because I've been looking into Karchev again. So
come on, your bedroom's like a mind map with string across.
Yeah, I've kind of got tunnel vision. But yeah, the Lancer, pretty cool. But the shield doing Cortex damage on hit, and then when it's hit as well, that's really cool. I really like that. And then obviously you've got Thorn, which is just a better version. And he's really cheap as well, 11 points. That's really, really cheap.
Yeah, he was one of the ones who got cheaper in the dynamic update. So I was like, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just thinking of the stuff that's reached out and touched me in bad places. Like Centurion, I mean, it's like a standard heavy, isn't it, with a shield? But the fact you can't charge it, amazing. That's really cool. And then all the lights, like the lights seem really strong. So when you're looking through the selection, I think the lights are probably more impressive than the heavies. I mean, the Charger, so cool. Like, it's really, really, really good. So efficient, right? The Hunter, absolutely amazing, and the Lancer. So I really like those three. And then I really want to wonder why. I mean, you might know, Stuart. Why do people not take Brickhouse? I mean, it's 16 points, but that control ability that you can just basically say you are not going to move.
I honestly don't know, but then again, I still haven't took him. I bought the model, painting them up, but I still haven't took him on the list yet. But I think it's more because of he tops out power 18. It's
in your faction. That's quite high.
Stop saying that. It is true. It's very true. It's a hard one, really, to be fair, because I can't really explain it. I think he's kind of like one of those jacks where, okay, I've got a power 18 beat stick. I don't just want to use this jack to hold up one model or two models or however many, at least anyway. I want this jack to be able to kill something. I need to be able to do that. And then you kind of look at, like, say, an Ironclad who's going to threat the exact same range as it, and he'll do just as much damage as well, which is a bit of a crying shame. I mean, I absolutely love Brickhouse. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, that jack just looks absolutely incredible. And I love the force hold ability. I just haven't really felt the need to have him in there. That's all.
Maybe it's coming from a faction that has very little control elements. Like, I get a bit gushy about some of these control abilities that you guys have got on these models.
I'm just spoiled, that's all.
Yeah. I mean, it's Mat 8. He's a Mat 8 character. Yeah. That's really cool.
It's pretty. You've got to give us a number. You're giving us everything but a number here. I've got nothing written down unless you said it and I missed it.
It's really weird because, like, there's some models I think are amazing, like really, really cool, and then there's some that are just really bad. So I've actually gone like a dog with two tails. So there's loads of fun options, perfect for club games, but also they can still be effective in tournament play as well.
Gav, can you give me the number as well as the animal reference? Because I don't want to just write down dog.
Dog with two tails is definitely not number 2.
I've got it. It's the 2. Okay.
That's a 3 to 5.
Oh, that's 3. That's not 2 then. Right. It's a dog with 2. It's 3 to 5. Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, I love some of them. Like, the lights are amazing. Some of the models are excellent.
Yeah, someone's echoed that up. Mark in the chat says the lights are amazing. Andy said, I'm not feeling the love for Karchev 2. It is there somewhere.
Just not here.
I just don't know where. Maybe it's not. No, it is. We'll come on to Karchev.
I'm working on it. I'll be switching to Cygnar soon.
This isn't a cast to love Karchev 2, is it?
No.
We'll do that at a later time.
Yeah, it'll
this is what's the matter with Cygnar.
Karchev 2, that's what's the matter with Cygnar.
Yeah. Cool, so you've got a dog with 3 to 5 tails. Brett,
that's it.
What have you coming at, mate? What's your thoughts?
I've gone a dog with 3 to 5 tails, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to put him at the 5 end of that, though.
Okay.
So for similar reasons, I think, they've got some jacks that in my mind are outstanding choices, but then equally they've got other jacks that I don't know why they bothered doing artwork and creating a cast for them. They're just terrible in my mind, and so the little innate abilities that they have, like Gav said, so many of the jacks have those little extras that make them just add a layer of interest, and it's even the cheap ones. So the Ironclad's only 12 points, right? But he's got that tremor attack, and so to have a special attack on a model that is basically your cheapest heavy is really nice. So for me, that's why they're in there. models I pick out. So going with the lights theme, and you didn't mention this one, Gav, but the Minuteman. So the Minuteman, advanced deployment, leap, those slug guns. In terms of where that guy can get, and like the disruption he causes by getting to those places and picking out, those models and just taking them off the board when you weren't expecting them, is outstanding. And again, in terms of, when I play, I love like the movement capabilities and everything else. So, in terms of epitomizing just a mobile strike force, the Minuteman, outstanding for me. He's up there in terms of a really great choice.
So it's like a rake with guns, basically, is what you're saying.
A rake with guns.
A rake with guns.
Best way to put it.
Yeah, seems all right. Thorn at 11 points.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote that dynamic update and thought, oh God, not many people are playing Thorn. I think we need to knock their points down by 2. What an outstanding, character Jack that is. And then you combine it with Haley, and again, it's just, next level. And then for me, the heavy, and I think this love affair is as much to do with the artwork as it is to do with how the model plays. But the Centurion artwork from the old book, and I think it's the same on the card, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
The little pose of him like looking down from that rock.
Yeah.
With his like spear pointed down, like just what an absolute guy that Jack is. So I've got 3 Centurions. I don't know how many you've got, Stu, but
I think I have 3 as well, actually.
Yeah. It's a Jack
Good
worth
to have.
having in 3s.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I'd have more if I could.
Yeah. So
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Few
comments.
options, definitely fun options. But there's definitely good and bad in that stable for me.
Wicked. Just a few comments from the chat. Andy was saying it was just Gav talking about borrowing factions to his Karchev 2 counter. He's reasonably obsessed with it. There's not much hatred in there, I promise. Marcus said, I think character Jacks are pretty good too. War Machine Benjamin says, love a cheeky Minuteman. So there's a lot of Minuteman love. And then Philly Roth has said, Minuteman two-handed throw has enabled a few cheeky assassinations.
There you go.
Can two-handed throw have 2 machine guns? He got open fists?
He has open
fists, though.
He has open fists.
Yeah, there's slug guns underneath.
Very handy.
Nice.
And then he's got that little flak field as well, again on a little light chassis.
Very flexible, Jack.
Yeah, it's super, super flexible.
Must do yoga.
I remember when that first got released, they were quite popular for a bit, weren't they?
They were.
Cool.
They're pretty cool.
3 to 5 for Brett, Dog with 2 tails. G, what you got, mate? What are your thoughts? You going to break the mold?
I'm a little bit biased towards the Cygnar Jacks because I absolutely love them. I've gone 7th heaven with mine, towards the higher end. But it's mainly because how much I love certain Jacks. It's like the other guys have said, some of the Jacks are just not great. So some of them you just don't use. I mean, like the Avenger springs to mind. It's just I don't know where to start with that one, unfortunately. I said I'm biased towards loving Cygnar Jack, but that one just kind of like dumpster fires for me, unfortunately. But you've got so many cool looking Jacks. I mean, like Thunderhead is quite possibly one of my favorite models I've ever owned in just anything. Just because it's literally an electric Jack. I mean, what more could you want from a steampunk game than a non-steamy Jack? It's just fantastic, and like the idea behind it is just incredible. And like mentions go out to Old Rowdy. I mean, like I never really see Old Rowdy that much anymore, but Old Rowdy just as a concept of just an angry war Jack, just learning from his just as angry, self-absorbed warcaster is just a fantastic like piece of like history of the game as well, because it wouldn't be such like an old Jack. The lights, you kind of seeing like the likes of the Firefly, the Charger, really good. Echoing what Brett said about the Minuteman, it's incredible. Like I could go on and on about the Cygnar Jacks, honestly, but I don't think we'd have time for it. In all fairness, but yeah, I think I kind of went in top end 7th heaven on that, just because like barring like 1 or 2, like there isn't really a Cygnar jack I don't really enjoy, and I've used Cygnar. I think I've used all the Cygnar jacks in some capacity in one or the other, and they may not perform the best, but like you kind of feel, oh, this is brilliant for the cyclone. Okay, I'm just going to just rinse you with machine guns. I mean, like, what could be more cool than that? But it's just awesome. You have like a lot of like good memories from back in the day of using them all before like things changed around. So yeah, I think that's a fair assessment for me.
Wicked.
In that one.
So Dan's asking the chat, which are the terrible jacks? So they have to, which are the kind of like standout? Oh no.
The standout ones for me personally, you're kind of looking at the Avenger. The Avenger, like on paper, it looks like a really, really good idea. But like in practice, you've got a knockdown gun at RAT4, and it's like, okay, it sounds fair, but it's a speed 4 1-inch reach jack. So you like in a game where threat range is everything, you're not really getting much out of it. And I think it dropped down in points, but it's still pretty expensive because like the whole shtick with Cygnar jacks is you're paying a premium for it to do two things at once. Like being able to have a gun as well as a melee weapon, you're always going to pay that premium, as opposed to say a Juggernaut or a Crusader, for example. Like you're always paying that a little bit extra just to have those extra rules on the cards. But I think you could have that argument about most of the factions, to be fair. But I think that's just like something I've always thought about. I was just trying to think.
I'll throw some out while you're thinking. Hammersmith.
Yeah,
doesn't particularly excite me.
Well, I looked at him. I thought he looked really exciting, and then I opened his card up and I thought, "Wow, what's going on? He's a terrible bronze bag. What's going on here?"
The Hammersmith had every potential to be like a really, really cool jack, and it kind of can, but you've got to like really give it like some proper options to work with. To be fair, because I mean, like I know it did get like an extra point of mat in the update, but yeah, like the Power 17 does hurt it. I mean, it's got nice control options, so I don't like put it in the same bracket as the Avenger, but I get what you're saying though. It's not like an ideal jack in that sense, but like some of the things you can do with it is incredible. Like I mean, you put it with Cray, it'll beat back at you and it'll slam a jack away, and then it repositions way away, like about like stupid amount of inches further than what it actually had any right to be for a speed 4 jack. It's but you can get like some nice interactions with it as well.
But I guess on our outstanding scoring system, that makes that a pig in muck, right? It's one of those things that, you put it with Cray and you've got this amazing synergy of like slam you 5 inches away, then repo 5 inches back, and rinse repeat, and like it's the most fun you can imagine.
Exactly.
But then you put that jack with someone else that hasn't got those abilities, like, oh right, this guy is terrible.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What's the one with the 2 chain guns?
That is
the
Cyclone. That is. Yeah, Cyclone changed a little bit in the coming into Mark 3 as well. Like I say, they have the uses, but again, it's more like Brett said, going into like that's what you're going to take into a club night for those cute little interactions. You might see. I think you're more likely to see those guys marshaled than you would on a caster, just due to like some of the abilities they have don't necessarily need a caster to have them. But yeah. Like I said, there are some like really, really good ones to have.
I think maybe the other one I'd throw in, and I don't know, maybe this is a bit more controversial, but would be the Reliant.
I was going to say that was probably going to be the other one I would put down in the low bracket, just because I'm not really too sure what the Reliant's meant to be. It's Power 17. Yeah, that's really all it is. I mean, like it's got a power as a 13 gun with a hazard, but then POW 10, just POW 10. It's only an AoE 3, and the guns, and I mean the hammer itself, critical from the clap is pretty cool, but it's not the most exciting crit in the world. And again, it's a POW 17 hammer, which you kind of need to buff it to make sure you do anything meaningful with it. So it's like I said, it's kind of just like a bad defender. And it kind of seems confused in its role, so to say. I think, but then again, I think that's kind of the idea, wanting a different type of shooting jack.
I think you see in some of the Cygnar jacks some of the issues that you saw perhaps originally with Retribution, where because they've got a gun and a melee weapon, for whatever reason in the design space, they couldn't quite decide whether to make this a is it a gun platform with a melee weapon, or is it a melee jack with a gun? And they never quite decided that, but they attached a point premium to it. And for me, the Reliant just falls into, they're not quite sure whether it's
just like that confused state of like what in the grey area. I think a few jacks kind of go in there as well. I mean, like the Avenger for a start, and then again the Reliance. But I mean, you've got like some jacks with a shooting weapon, like the Stormclad, which is a very, very good jack. Yeah. But then it knows its role. It's a beat stick just with an extra gun just there for the sake of it, which is quite nice. And they're always really good jacks. They've never been a bad jack. The Stormclads, I always like them.
Yeah. Right, let's keep the chat moving. That was good. Glad we got to that, because there was a few people mentioning it in the chat. A few people saying Avenger needed a range buff. Dan saying the Defender makes me sad. It used to be really good. Dan, Reliant is just bad at everything. And then Phil just said Hammersmith and Avenger both Speed 4. Speed 4. So there's a bit of chat from Philly Roth about Hammersmith and Avenger both being Speed 4, which I think someone mentioned, the slow speed. Okay, so that's the battle group. Now units. Gav, you're up first, mate. What are you thinking?
Units, not solos. Units, isn't it?
I've got units on my list and solos, but do you want to do solos?
I'm just doing it through War Room. That's right. It's just that way. So units. Okay, cool. So, God, I just don't know where to start. Like, there's so many. Just literally, it feels like there's hundreds. Just keep scrolling through here. I just don't even know what you're going to see anymore. So, like, from Mark 2, Tempest Gun Majors, awesome. They used to bully the table. They've been changed now. I think they seem a bit better. It's their theme's been changed, isn't it? So we'll talk about that later. Legion of Lost Souls, they've added that unit to them. They seem really, really strong. Long Gunners, yeah, they seem okay. But I think it's the changes to the Storm, the original ones. I think it's the changes to the Storm Guard stuff, and the Sword Knights, and the trenches. Like, I hate trenches so much. Honestly,
that was where it touched you.
So many places. So like all the trenches are amazing. Like literally fantastic. They're just like bursting with rules. They've got so many abilities, so many cool things they can do. The stats are amazing. Now all the Storm Guard infantry and all that sort of stuff, all the electric stuff is now really playable as well. They all seem really strong. I'm looking like Rangers. Rangers are really cool. Situation amazing for the faction that they're in. I can't really find a bad unit that I wouldn't take. Like Precursor Knights are now really, really good as well. Like yeah. I mean, Storm Lancers have been toned down a touch, I think, to what they used to do, which was fair. They were pretty horrible. Like Tempest Blazers now. Yeah, right. Yeah, Tempest Blazers now are really good too. Like, I think the outstanding ones are probably the Express team.
Oh, that's the unit I had on my short list as well.
Absolutely hate them. And the Trencher Long Gunners, obviously, most people don't like those as well. So yeah.
What on earth is an Express team? It sounds like someone who's going to bring me a parcel.
It's going to be wrapped up present for you. That one.
Yeah, it's a troll with a giant double-barreled shotgun-esque weapon
that shoots twice.
And grievous wounds.
It doesn't always shoot twice.
You got to give it a battery fire from the
Master Gunner. Till we get to solos. I'll tell you. Right.
We just skip this part now.
Yeah. So yeah, I am on cloud 9 with this selection of units. Like, there's just so many good options. They all do really cool stuff. Nothing's particularly tanky. But this is Cygnar. They don't have the whole multi-wound infantry standing there and take a hit type stuff. They're the ones that are doing the hits or controlling the board. So yeah, I really like them. Really great options. And I hate trenches. So,
P.S. Hate trenches.
Just say that one more time.
Hate trenches.
So Brett, what about you? Liam's asked in the chat, obviously our good friend Liam Jordan, we've known for many, many years. He says, our gun mage is still the best thing since sliced bread. From Gav's comment, maybe not. So Brett, maybe in your answer you could just touch on
the
history of gun mages.
I reckon they're pretty good against Karchev.
Karchev again.
So I don't necessarily think it's gun majors that have changed, but the game around them has changed. So the reason gun majors used to be outstanding was, you could give them Deadeye, they could see through stealth, they could take a snipe shot, they can take a thunderbolt shot. So they, the gun mage unit just used to be Cygnar's only answer that they required to dealing with high defense stealth models. And then once they dealt with them, then they'd just keep pushing your warjacks or war beasts away until they were ready to deal with them.
Yeah, your speed 4 heavies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's not that they can't still do that. It's just that the meta moved away from taking high defense, stealth, armor 11 models.
Yeah,
and so as a consequence, their value and merit in terms of you putting them in your list probably diminished. Or that's my perspective anyway.
Interesting. What about your general take on units in Cygnar, Brett? What number have you got?
Well, I've gone between Dog with Two Tails and Cloud9.
Well, you can't make new scales. You've invented the scale. You can't. Is that a
monkey
monkey in a barrel?
That's seventh heaven.
No,
then,
so
right?
I think it probably puts me seventh heaven. But I think I've raised that because for me, some units are again absolutely outstanding. The rules they have, the interactions they have, the options they bring to the board, the diversity of play styles you're able to adopt with them, and then certainly for me, importantly, aesthetic, because I think you've got some very definitive aesthetics within the Cygnar, particularly within units. The Arcane Gunmage units, again, I've got a particular look about them. The Storm Guard Knights have got a particular look about them, and then you've got the Trenchers that have got a particular look about them.
As well as the Stormsmiths as well.
Yeah. And I don't think I'm the only person in making that observation, because you see people play exclusively Storm Division, whereas other people will play exclusively, Trenchers. And so, I think that's probably why I'm somewhere in between. Like, I love gun majors, I love trenchers. I'm less enamoured by the Storm Division, Storm Knight, Storm Guard type models. So yeah, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. So a seventh heaven for me. But my highlights then are things like the Express team, which Gav has already talked about. I had the Arcane Tempest gun majors on there still. And then mechanics. Those
true heroes.
They are for 2 points. Them three mechanics. Goblins and that little mechanic chief
do so much work.
The amount of work they do in terms of keeping stuff alive early game, and then late game, they just happen to be, defense 14 grunts contesting zones.
Can attest to this.
Yeah, and when you kill one of them, it's okay. I've got two more to contest it next turn, because I don't need to repair my jacks anymore. We're beyond that stage of the game, so they'd be my highlights unit wise.
Great, good stuff. Stu, what are your thoughts, mate? You agree with that?
Yeah, I again, it's just more echoing what the guys have said on this one. To be fair, like the aesthetics of Cygnar's units are just so diverse. It's just hard to pin down like a really favourite one. Like Storm Knights, I mean, like anyone who knows me knows I adore Storm Lancers and I adore Storm Guards and I adore Storm. Anything with Storm in the name is just something I just absolutely just love to bits. And the trenches as well, like the trenches just give off like that a complete that World War One-esque vibe, but it's just they're just like the regular troopers. They're not clad in all this big armor and this fancy weaponry. They're just guys with a bayonet and a rifle as well. And they're like Gav said, they're just like all them rules on there just bring about this like really cool theme of a unit where it just kind of encompasses like everything that Cygnar was. It's like it's a nation on the defensive, and these guys are like the epitome of that. So like the guys have said, like the Express teams like really will stand out units. I mean, like I could have every single Storm Division units being on my short list on that one. It just goes without saying that those guys are just amazing. You've got the likes of all the Storm Swift stuff, like Crazy Mad Scientist vibes that are just really, really cool to see. And yeah, I don't really think there's. I mean, long gunners are kind of a bit of the outlier on this one, like the regular long gunners. I think this is more of a sculpt issue more than an actual model, more of an actual, like, the idea of the model itself. They're just ghastly models. God, I can't even say, I can't say anything other than that, really. I mean, the model's just so bad for them, but I love the idea of them as well, though. Like, and yeah, like I mean, in very, very, very situational times, they'll be pretty strong as well. But again, very, very, very situational. Of course, I'll just put that out there again. But yeah, Arcane Tempest Gun Mages, as well as the Tempest Blazers, like, just absolutely phenomenal stuff. And again, like Gun Mages might not be like the force they used to be, but I think it's like it's like Brett said, like the Mets kind of like just moved on from what they were needed for. I mean, you can still achieve those same things, just not to the same the same effect that you would have in years gone by. But again, it doesn't take away from the fact that they actually have the potential to be really, really good units.
Great. So what was your number? What was your number?
Oh yeah, my number after all that as well. I went for 7th Heaven with these guys. I was torn between Dog with Two Tails, but I thought 7th Heaven, in my personal view, is probably a fair go with them.
Great. Cool. Good stuff. Solos and themes to go. Let's jump straight into solos and start with you, Gav.
Cloud9. Right, your turn, Brett.
Is it because it's going to trigger you going into them how good they are? You don't have anything to say on it. You're like, yeah, they're really good. Next.
Just can't do it. Literally, you look at all the solos, like, they're just literally everything you want for each theme. Like, you look through what they do, and they just give every unit or everything that they want to take with, like, in that theme, the support that they need, or the ability they need, just that extra little things to make that unit from good into outstanding. Honestly, I just look through these solos and just think, wow, absolutely.
Is anyone else getting the sense that Gav's got faction envy?
A massive, huge
just
faction envy.
Just a little tiny.
Is he basically going Cloud9, Cloud9?
No, the Jack's not brilliant.
It won't happen with Jack.
If we can just put it out there, if anyone's got a Cygnar force that they're selling cheap, I think we might have an interested party.
We got a buyer, ladies and gentlemen. We have a buyer.
That's
next week's prize. Don't pull it away.
That's next week's prize.
That's next week's prize.
No, these are my sons who are actually building these at the moment.
Oh, really? Is he getting your son into it? Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. He's starting with Cygnar. So weirdly, he plays a bit of 40k, and now he wants to get into War Machine. That's the faction. That's the faction he's chosen. So yeah,
that's going to do wonders for your relationship. What's he going to play for?
He's not getting trenches. It's fine. So just looking through all these solos, like, I don't even know what to say. Literally, Cloud9, they're amazing. They provide all the support you need. They're all really, really good. They all just do so many things. The Trench Buster. Anyway, I'm just gonna and then all the journeymen.
One of the best light warjacks in Cygnar, the Trench
Buster. Yeah, the Trench Busters. Is it still free as well? Is it still getting for free?
Yeah, you can take it. Yeah,
brilliant. You can. Yeah. So yeah, I'm all over the solos. They're just really cool. They all feel like little characters. You know, like you watch an action film. These are the guys that are like toughing it out, like going around, taking scalps, that kind of stuff. These are
like the cast of Expendables.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're so cool.
Love it.
They do so many things. So yeah, I'm gushing over again. The solos in faction.
Nice. Brett, what are your thoughts?
I'm giving them Cloud9. Cloud9, yeah. What great options they've got. Headlines for me, the Squire, the lowly Squire. But how long's that little robot been following around Cygnar Walkercasters?
Many moons.
Yeah, but just, that extra point of focus, the extra 2 inches on control. In Circle, we have to pay 10 points to get an extra 2 inches of control.
5 points.
It's not 5
It's
points.
5 points. 5 points.
It's free in Cygnar.
You get a
Brilliant.
free solo.
Yeah. So yeah, the Squire, the Journeyman Warcaster, the original Journeyman Warcaster, but again, just the ubiquitous use of that +3 armor.
Yep.
Outstanding solo.
It's just so many uses for it.
Gabriel Throne, I really like as one of the newer releases.
Yeah.
You remember when Cygnar used to have to take the Piper of Ord to get Pathfinder? and tough. Well,
Never
now you can
see
take
that
this
guy.
guy that gives Pathfinder tough and gives +2 damage.
Seems right.
Glorious.
Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it? And then the lowly Patrol Dog. That's the other headline for me.
How was that 1 point?
The dynamic update, they made him cheaper by 1 point. So I was like, oh, well, that's brilliant. And then I looked at the small print and dynamic update. They changed his field allowance to 2. I was like, well, brilliant. I'm good as 2 dogs now rather than 1 for the same price cost.
He's such a good boy.
Yeah. Such a good boy. So yeah, Cloud9 for me. So many options. The character solos are all just so characterful as well. That they're really great.
Yeah.
Pretty strong all round. Stu, how are you going to finish it off? Similar vibes, or?
It was only going to be Cloud9 for the solos. The solos, like the guys have said, have just been just absolutely fantastic. I mean, you've got the likes of Savio Acosta, you've got Bastian Falk, you've got Ladmore, you've got the dog, you've got Sid Dreyfus. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on. And Gwen Keller is now amazing as well. I mean, in the update, and it's just a fantastic stable of characters. Like, honestly, even like the others have said, you've got like your lowly little generic solos who just have so much flavor to them as well. Like the journeyman, like what Cygnar doesn't have a journeyman in them these days anyway, because it like that plus the armor has just so many uses. And can just work on so many things. It's just so good not to have. And even just looking at the list again as well, like Maxwell Finn. I mean, if you're going to have more fun with a solo, you have fun with that guy. It's when you can just conga line through an entire enemy army and still kill someone at the end. It's brilliant. Like you don't have as much fun in a Cygnar list than you do with the solos. I think like those it's a fantastic stable of solos to have. And he would just spoil for choice, spoil rotten.
Nice. Solo heaven.
Yeah.
Solid 9s all round. And last then, before we sum things up and talk about Legion prizes as well, theme forces. So what we're making of the themes. Gav, you kick us off.
Yep, so for themes, I've gone for 7-7. I think with the changes that they've had recently, they've made them much better. So I think Cygnar's themes were a bit bland before. But a little bit stymied. But yeah, so I think Storm Division is really, really cool with the changes to that. Heavy Metal, probably still a little bit, I don't know, maybe the least popular. Sons of the Tempest, I really like some of the stuff they've done with that. Some really cool stuff going on there now. And then Gravediggers, God.
Has that got trenches in or something, Gav? Why has that triggered you?
That's the trencher thing, yeah. It's just amazing. Like, so obviously it went through CID and then got changed a bit as well afterwards. So I think they just did such a fantastic job of taking a real theme and added that flavour into the armour that you're building. That's really, really good. So it just works so well. All the solos, just everything in that list just works so well together. And then Flame of Darkness. So this is weirdly, it's quite a bit of a dark horse for me. I've never really ever looked at it until recently. So that's quite interesting. But I don't really want to comment on it because I've not looked into that enough. It looks really, really unusual. So, and I've not really ever.
Storm Knights, I mean, like, as well as all the buffs to Storm Knights, just made that theme just a lot nicer to play and like a lot better feel to it. Again, with Flames and Darkness, it's just like after having like those type of themes, like all this Mark II, and then this the Holy Crusade style of list coming about, it just add like a really fresh dynamic to like what Cygnar lists could make, and like touching upon what Brett said about like there's a lot of unexplored potential with those lists. I was admittedly one of those guys who couldn't really look past blockade precursors with a couple of Morrow and Archons. I think that was just more due to what I had available to play games with more than actual thinking about what to play with. So like there's definitely potential with those theme lists I mean, and like, because like Brett had a very cool Striker 1 list, which like it was just more like super solo-esque of like all the Phalamites. I think there was Malvin in it, Malvin and Mayhem as well.
Yeah.
It was honestly such a cool list to try as well. And but like I said, like it's like little innovations like that, just like show people that there are like there's different styles to like try with that list. It just adds so many different things, having access to the mercenaries as a whole. So it was a no-brainer really as well. Gravediggers is still a somewhat decent theme list in itself, as well as Sons of the Tempest. Heavy metal is it's okay. It hasn't really felt like it's changed too much, but I'm not really too sure what you could change with that one. So that one kind of like drags down a little bit, but I think like I'd say higher end Seventh Heaven is probably a good shout with the Enforcers, I find.
Nice. Cool. Sorry to people in the chat if we just dropped and then came back. People are still in the chat. Appreciate that loads. Cool. So we had an 8, a 7th Heaven, and a 7th Heaven.
Yeah.
You guys are keeping fairly consistent, other than Gav's slightly lower maybe. No, in fact, Gav's just gone lots of 9s. Gav is...
right there.
He's
Faction strong.
He's all in.
Join us.
So one last thing then before we talk back about the Legion giveaway stuff. Just generally, how fun is this faction to play, to own, to get into? Gav, appreciate
it. It is amazing. It is so good. I don't care if Gavin's meant to go first. This faction is the best. I challenge anyone to say otherwise in the chat. I can't see who's in the chat. I don't care what to say. It's amazing, and I'll rant all night, and I'll drink to hell with it.
So that'd be a dog with one tail? They're right up there.
But yeah. In all seriousness, though, like it's kind of like just echoing what we've said about the cast so far. I didn't mean to like just completely take first out of that one. To be fair,
Stuart, you go absolutely wild, mate. This is your time. We like this. That's why we got you on. You go in there.
But yeah, like with the faction just being so varied, you don't feel like you're stuck with like one theme of the entire army. Like there's so many different things going on with the faction. We've all touched up on it in one way or another, and there's always something for everyone. If you want like World War I-esque troops, you want futuristic looking Storm Knights. You've got your bloody gun majors doing all their thing, as well as like your precursor Holy War-esque guys. It's an absolutely fantastic concoction of troops that you don't really feel like you can just stick to one thing. There's just so much to go off, and like everything can do so much that you never really find you're bored of it very quickly. As long as you put like time and effort into that faction, like it rewards you so much. I think that's a very, very big positive plus on the appeal of Cygnar, personally.
You're selling it to me, mate. You're selling it good. I like it.
Passionate, please, what I do. I should be a motivational speaker for this faction.
A little side gig. Cygnar motivational speaker.
I think what's super interesting is as we've gone through those scores, so Cygnar have actually come out a touch higher than Legion.
Yes!
Not when I adjust them.
But again, I think, it's probably worth reminding people, we're not saying that one's better than the other when it comes to competitive play. What we're saying is in terms of putting these models on the table, like having an absolute blast with them, the options they give you, the play style options. Do you want to play guns? Do you want to play robots? Do you want to play a combination of crazy lightning scientists? You are going to have an absolute whale of a time if you put some nicely painted blue swans on the table and run them at people. So they've overall they've come out as a really nice solid 7th Heaven faction. But I think from our conversation and having played them, that's exactly where they feel.
I agree.
Gav, do you agree? You want to take the trenches out, don't you, mate? They're holding them back.
Yeah. The trenches need to go. Apart from that, yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah. No.
Gav's the one that's rated them the highest throughout this entire cast.
Yeah, he's gone in strong.
If
They're really
we
strong.
just take Gav's scores in isolation, we need to come up with a new category. Whatever's above.
He's so warped, though. It'll come to Scott.
It's just Cygnar. I just break the Cygnar.
Cygnar.
He'll come to Scott and he's like, rubbish one. You get such by the fact you played Scott for so long, you're just jealous of everything. It's so blind.
Pretty
much that, yeah.
You need to play the field a bit, mate. You need to get out there. Do you know what I mean?
I can't. 15 years in, mate. That's it. Life.
Davina's going to rip that
Cygnar in your life. You need more Cygnar in your life, Gavin. That's all it is.
He needs more Cygnar in his life.
The thing is, I spent Mark II having too much Cygnar in my life. So, yeah.
Who's to blame there? Brett and Jake.
And Jake.
What are you guys playing? Haley 3 and Haley 2. Who are you guys playing?
Not so much in Mark II with Jake, but yeah, when he was rocking those trenches in Haley 3. Oh my god.
Fun times. Wicked. I think that takes us through Cygnar. Just really quickly, you want to win these things, and you've watched all this time. We've got tokens, we've got Saren. Brett's going to write you a list. We've got a list of all you have to do is write in the comments which faction we should cover next. Just let us know. Do it. Get on YouTube. Or if you're in the Twitch chat, just tell us in the Twitch chat now and I'll screenshot it, and then next week we'll pull a name out of a hat and we'll send you all this stuff. It's like 30 quid worth of stuff. It's totally free. And Gav maybe might give away that battle group next week. We don't know. Anything could happen. You know what I mean? The channel could get monetized and we could be just giving it out left, right and centre. Wicked. All right, Stu, thanks so much for joining us today, mate. We've enjoyed chatting to you.
Oh, no, it's been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, thanks for the opportunity, guys. I really appreciate it.
So, all right, and thanks to everyone that's getting into the show and watching and stuff. It's been really nice seeing people's comments and stuff on all the social media channels. And great, there's just loads of people getting back into the game. There's someone else today that I saw that was getting back into War Machine, buying loads of stuff. So it's great. There's a nice vibe about it, isn't there?
It's really good to see. Really is.
It's good. Cool. All right, gents. We'll call it there. I'll click to the closing scene if you just don't say anything for a second. And speak to you all in a bit. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next time. Like and subscribe.
Thanks everyone.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.